Beer Guys Radio Show. Proud to partner with Atlanta Brew Box, the experience of Georgia craft breweries with every box. Online at theatlbox.com. Proudly broadcasting from the AM 920 studios in Buckhead, Atlanta. It's the Beer Guys Radio Show, the only radio show in the South dedicated to art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer. Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Aaron Williams.
And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I'm Aaron.
I'm Tim.
And we've got a great special edition of the Beer Guys Radio Show today, don't we?
We are at a very cool place, Aaron.
Absolutely. One of my favorite places here in the city of Atlanta, or Decatur, or the metro Atlanta area, I guess I should say. Because we are actually at the Brickstore pub here in Decatur, one of the iconic beer bars in the city, and we are here with a couple of special guests for us today. Dave Blanchard and Ryan Skinner. Of course, Dave is the co-founder of the Brickstore, and Ryan is the beer manager, so we're actually very privileged to have you guys with us. So thanks for coming to the show with us today.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we're going to do a little bit of a special show today. Like I said, we're not going to kind of skip some of the news and just talk a little bit about all things Brickstore over the next hour or so. But first, it's time to drink some beer. How about that?
That sounds great to me. So, now, Ryan, you brought me a beer just before we went on the air here, and this is a little local love, a little Georgia beer. Why don't you tell the folks what I'm enjoying here? Tell them a little bit about this beer.
Yeah, in your hand you have Creature Comforts Bibo Pilsner. We definitely like to offer a lighter option here at the pub for individuals. When they come in, they don't always want a big, large Belgian beer.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a start for us, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe we'll get to those Belgians a little bit later in the show, right?
Yeah. We have plenty of beer, so we can find something that you want later on.
Excellent. That sounds great.
So if you're running around and need something to sit down, cool down, refresh with, this is a good beer to do
For
it.
sure,
right?
yeah. It's an easy drinking beer. It's a great variation of the style. Pilsners are much more diverse than I think people think. They aren't just Bud Light and Miller Light anymore. There's a lot of craft brewers that are focusing on the style, and I'm actually excited about it because I really dig the style. So
these are good ones that I call them gateway beers.
For sure.
You know, someone who does drink those macro lagers, you know, there's something that may be watered down, you know, just the beer. You come over to this, it's not offensive, you know, it's not got the hops in your face. It has that same profile there, but a little more flavor, a little more oomph to it that may encourage someone to come over and try some more craft beers.
Yeah, those both the beers that you have, Bibo from Creature Comforts and Service Rally Point, probably taste more like what beer used to taste like before the big conglomerates took a hold of it and watered it down and made it for the masses. So they're great beers. They're easy beers. They're easy to drink. They're beers that I prefer to drink. I like easy beers. When I get off of work, I don't want to drink a big, massive stout. I prefer something a little bit lighter. So that's kind of why I chose it for you guys, especially since you just sat in traffic for so long.
Oh, yeah, fun stuff.
Fun Atlanta traffic trying to get here. That's always a fun time. So those are the Truck and Tap beers of the week. Now, Dave, what are you drinking? You've got a Belgian, it looks like. Is that right?
I've got a St. Bernardus Prior 8. Which was opened by accident. So
I hate when that happens.
Owner that I am, I decided to not put it to waste.
Happy accident.
And I actually haven't had one in a minute, and man, is it real good.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
You know, we've got to actually, kind of pimp our stuff here. So we're actually here on the radio, of course, every day or every Saturday. I wish it was every day.
Every day.
1 to 2 p.m. on AM 920 The Answer. Also on BeerGuysRadio.com. Twitter handle is @BeerGuysRadio. We're on Untapped, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even we have our own phone number, 678-8618-ALE if you want to get a hold of us.
Stuff.
That is fancy stuff. We like to be ubiquitous.
That's like every social media outlet in the world.
That is.
We try.
We're on MySpace still. You know,
Still on MySpace.
Yeah, you search Alta Vista and try and find us. Ask Jeeves, we're on that too.
You might be the only two human beings still on MySpace.
But we message each other. We're both in each other's top 8 spaces there. So,
yeah.
So that's good. So.
Well, I feel old now that we just said that.
So if they, speaking of that, since we're talking to social media and that, where can folks connect with Brickstore Pub? I believe you guys are out there as well. Facebook,
our handles
website,
are the same.
So.
Facebook would be Brickstore Pub. Twitter and Instagram are @Brickstore Pub. We've made a really concerted effort over the last year to become more active on social media. I think we've done a pretty good job at it. We've definitely gained a lot of followers, and I think there's more to come with that. We've talked a lot about it recently about becoming more relevant and doing a couple more cool things with it. So that's our handle, and more to come. Follow us. It's pretty cool stuff.
Awesome.
There. And now we're upstairs here at the Brickstore Pub. Now, of course, you've got the main floor downstairs, the main front of the house. Upstairs, though, is a little bit different. Can you tell us a little bit more about this upstairs concept here at the Brickstore?
Yeah. Well, this was the brainchild of the beer law passing back in 2004, which got our cap popped.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, when we had opened, we were doing a lot with beer, and we had sort of made a name for ourselves as the beer destination in town, and it was mainly more at that time more about what we weren't selling than what we were. We opened up not selling any macro lagers and not doing pitchers of beer and not doing frozen pints, and really making a concerted effort to serve beer properly. And so we, for the first, I guess, about 7 years we were open, that's what we did. And we really became the beer place in Atlanta. And when Georgian for World Class Beer, which I was a big part of, got the law changed, we realized we needed more room for more beer. And serendipitously enough, the space we're sitting in now used to be the upstairs of the restaurant below us called Sweet Melissa.
Oh, yeah.
Which coincidentally is owned by our landlord. So he didn't use this space very much, and for years had said, if we wanted it, it was available. And we never really thought we needed it until we got that law changed. At that point, we were like, man, we just got this law change, which is what everybody wanted forever. And now what are we going to do? We don't have nearly enough room downstairs for beer. So we ended up expanding into this space, adding a bottle cooler, which holds about 120 bottle beers. And then we added 8 draft lines. And at that time, I don't know if you guys were back in 2004, but it really preceded the American explosion that we've seen in the last few years. And at that time, it still very much was an import game, and especially when that law changed, Belgian beers were all the rage. Mm-hmm. And there was so much Belgian beer that flooded the market. And so when we expanded up into here, this only became the Belgian bar when we realized how much Belgian beer there was. And so we were like, man, what are we going to do? And I was like, all right, well, let's just throw all the Belgian beer upstairs, and then downstairs can just be everything else. And it really worked out well. It's a great space. It really feels like a basement.
Yeah.
But we're upstairs, so it's kind of a funky juxtaposition the way that works out. But I love the space. It's great. I think that's the cool thing about the Brickstore is you have this up here, and then downstairs is a completely different kind of feel. So whatever kind of mood you're in, it's sort of, we got something to fit your mood.
Yeah, if you haven't been up to the Belgian bar, it's there's nooks. It's low ceilings, very interesting old signs on the wall, exposed brick, natural wood. It's very cozy feeling. You want to hang out here. You want to have a beer. Hang out, talk to your friends, and that.
For sure, that's always been our main.
Yeah, it reminds me of some place like you'd want to hang out, like when I was in college. Kind of the dark and
sure.
Kind of a relaxed environment. It's not that crazy.
Right.
Bar atmosphere. Exactly. And that's what I've always liked about this Brickstore Pub area is that again, it's not like your traditional woohoo kind of bar, where you got crazy. It's relaxed, like you said. You don't serve pitchers.
Yeah,
have a pint of beer.
Lack of TVs. It was a big decision we made back at that time.
Yeah,
when we first opened. No Budweiser, no TVs. People were like, "Really, man?
You sure you're doing a bar right here?"
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in Decatur, when there wasn't a whole lot going on down here, but. We had come from Athens, me and my 2 partners, and we had our fill of the college bar mentality, and it's just something we were not really into. And what we were into is like really cool places that where you could get a proper pint poured.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that, Dave, you talked about the law change,
right? And
it was 6% before, and then to 14 that we've got now. So you started the bar 7 years before the law changed.
Yeah.
So that in that kind of environment at the time, a true beer bar wasn't a big thing, especially not in Georgia.
That's right.
And even the places that did serve craft beer, a lot of them you were still getting it in the bottles, or
that's right,
or a chilled pint glass.
Well, really, like I said, it was the import game. I mean, we were a huge Borsteiner account and Pilsner Urquell account and Paulaner. mean, some of them are escaping me now, but
a lot of the big English breweries as well, too.
Sure.
And those types of things,
it was definitely English and German dominated. And like I said, I think we really made, we really found that niche in what we weren't serving. I mean, it was a pretty significant thing that we chose not to sell Budweiser in general or Miller products in general. And what do you mean you don't have pitchers? And can you chill that pint glass? What is this all about? Kind of thing.
It's like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, so that was sort of the thing that I think separated Brickstore at the time, and then when the beer law changed, everything changed.
Right. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, Dave, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, maybe about the education of your customer and about the revitalization that you've been a part of here in downtown Decatur. That's coming up in the next break here. So, again, stick with us right now. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We'll be back right after this.
Want more Beer Guys? Follow Tim and Aaron on Twitter at Beer Guys Radio, Facebook, Instagram, and online, beerguysradio.com. The Beer Guys are back after this.
It's Aaron and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock is always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy. They have 12 of them. Bottles, too. Not sure what to drink? All of their beer servers are Cicerone certified. And if you got someone who isn't a beer fan, not to worry. Truck and Tap carries wine, mixed drinks, and even handcrafted sodas.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily. That way, you're getting a different menu every day.
Check it out, Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
This is Tim and Aaron from the Beer Guys, and here's the deal. You've got that one friend, that one you can never shop for. He's got all that cool stuff. Yeah, that guy.
Well, we found something that they don't have, but they're going to want. The Atlanta Brew Box is a Georgia craft beer experience to go. Each box contains tour passes, a t-shirt, and a bunch of other swag from our local breweries. It's fully customizable, and starting at only $40, it's a great gift idea.
It's unique, it's fun, and it is Atlanta. Head to beerguysradio.com, click the link on the right-hand side of our webpage, and that will get you there. It's the Atlanta Brew Box, the Georgia craft experience in a box.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I'm Tim Dennis.
And I'm Aaron Williams.
And we are here with Ryan Skinner and Dave Blanchard of Brickstore Pub. Again, guys, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
So we want to talk a little bit about kind of the roots of Brickstore Pub. We've covered it a little bit, but one thing, there wasn't a whole lot here, Dave, when you started Brickstore, correct? And here is in Decatur area.
Yeah, that's true. The city had just finished doing a whole streetscape project right before the Olympics came, which was 96. So the city had a grand plan to revitalize the town. Back in the 70s, Decatur used to be, or actually before the 70s, Decatur was a great little town.
Yeah.
The biggest controversy around here for the last, 40 years was when MARTA came in and ripped up the town square and put a MARTA station right in the middle of it, and then Decatur went right in the crapper for the next 30 years.
Wow.
Or so.
Yeah.
And and there it's at for a long time, and the city really made a conscious effort and got the infrastructure to come in, widen sidewalks, put in street lamps and trees and benches and everything before they even attracted their first business. They were just sort of getting the place set up because they knew, being the county seat, that the potential was there, and Atlanta needed something like it.
And not only that, having colleges close by.
Oh, totally. Emory and Agnes Scott and the CDC, I mean, it's sitting right in the middle of everything, and not just everything, money, too.
Right.
There's a lot of people with money that live with, really close by. So we just sort of lucked into it. I had moved to Atlanta from Athens to start working with Marthasville Brewing Company, which was the first microbrewery that got started up after that law changed back in 92. And kind of my job was to drive all around Atlanta to, sell Marthasville beers. And I kept finding myself coming back to Decatur because it seemed to be the closest thing to Athens that I found. And I'd really missed Athens when I left. And Decatur just was kind of cool. Eddie's Attic was here. Twain's had just opened, which I subsequently met my first wife.
Yeah.
And there was a little place called Church Street Coffee, and all these places were owned by 20-somethings. And there was this really good energy going on. And we ended up coming down here and working during the Olympics. And while we were working here, we were looking around. This was me and one of my business partners. we're like, man, this Decatur might be the place to set up shop. And sure enough, the Olympics came through town. We worked and saw what Decatur could feasibly be, and we said, all right, man, this is it. And this building that we are in is exactly the kind of building we were looking for. We wanted an old, early 1900s style building with a lot of character, wood floors and brick walls, and it just was available, and we got it for a song and set up shop, and for not a lot of money. And what was great in those early days is, since there was nothing in Decatur at the time, we had such a long grace period to get our crap together, like our kitchen and our systems and everything. Nowadays when a restaurant opens up in Atlanta, or any major, so you've got about 3 weeks to get that together. We had
people are demanding these days.
We had about 3 or 4 months. I think we had paper wrap sandwiches for the first month and a half as our menu. But anyway,
usually Wonder Bread on those sandwiches.
I think we were a little bit better than that. I think we had rye bread.
Wow! Oh, they upgraded.
Okay, good. Fancy.
But at any rate, Decatur really was nothing. But what was great is, since we did come in and we did do a really, I would say, the first big renovation to one of these old buildings, one of these old storefronts. The people that were living here we really laid our roots at that point, and there was so many people that were just so happy to have something, let alone a place that offered what we were offering, and people just seemed to buy into it. And at that point on, we were just kind of able to do our own thing, and if we wanted to put a crazy beer on, people trusted us that it would be good.
Yeah. Was there a lot of kind of educating the consumer at that time about the craft beer?
It kind of was. I mean, the good thing is, we just talked about Agnes Scott and Emery and CDC. I mean, these people that were kind of our original guests kind of were open to new things. And if they wanted a Budweiser and we had a Vorsteiner, we were like, man, we don't have Budweiser, but try this. And they were like, oh, kind of like that Bebo Pils you're drinking. It's like, oh, I get it. That's good, too.
And you kind of coincided with the kind of almost, I want to call it the great migration of people coming to Atlanta in the mid-'90s. I graduated college in 95 in upstate New York in Ithaca, and I know a lot of my friends came to Atlanta for the Olympics and stayed there. So you were kind of in that nice sweet spot where young people were starting to move in that area.
We did, and we got in early, too, which was really nice. Because we got with this building and getting the relationship with our landlord, we probably have the best lease in North America.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know. We got a great landlord. Yeah. It's a very. I don't want to say that. That's silly. But we established a relationship with him, and it's very good. And we work together, and it's obviously we couldn't be happier being in Decatur. I rarely leave Decatur, and if I do leave, I as fast as I can get back here, I get back here.
Now, you live in there? You live in Avondale? Is that right?
No, I live in Decatur.
You in Decatur?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is live, work, play right here, right?
I'm about a 7-minute bike ride away, which is really nice. Ryan, where do you live?
He lives in my neck of the woods.
Further than that, right?
So I live a long way away.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're talking about Dave Blanchard, the co-founder of the Brickstore Pub, and Ryan Skinner, the beer manager of Brickstore. Again, thanks for joining us, guys. Ryan, sounds like a good time to get you into the mix here a little bit. Don't want Dave to hog the mic, right?
I don't. Really
even though he is the boss.
He owns the place. He can talk as much
I guess
as
that's
Ryan's
true.
the boss, I assure you.
So, Ryan, tell us a little bit.
Ryan's the beer manager, Aaron.
Well, listen, he's a good man to know.
So.
And absolutely. And listen, I have a beer question for you, too. What about educating the consumer? Like you said before, you've got a lot of guys and gals that come in, maybe aren't used to the Belgians or used to anything more than the macro lagers. What do you guys do as far as taking that approach to educate the consumer?
I think for me, what's the most unique thing about working here at the Brickstore and how really cool it is that we have such a diverse mix of individuals that come in. We have the uber beer nerd that I can't educate. They know, and if I try to tell them, they're gonna do what they want to do anyway. Yeah, they are their own entity, and they're necessary, and they support us, and they're great. I guess the other side of that spectrum would be the individuals that come in and ask for Bud Light, and we have that all the time. The beers that you have are what we would offer them as opposed to that. So there is education that goes along with that. For me, I would rather sit around with somebody that comes in and asks for a Bud Light as opposed to somebody that brings me the rarest beer in the world. The reason is because we can actually talk about the product. It doesn't have to be... be an ego contest.
Dissect it, talk about IBUs and ABVs.
We can just talk about who owns that brewery and where that brewery is from. We know them. We know the people that own the breweries. We like them. We support them. The beer is friggin' great. It's made locally. They provide jobs for the economy. Why do you want to send your money, I'm from St. Louis, but why do you want to send your money to St. Louis and now wherever the hell they are, Belgium and
Holland now or Belgium,
wherever they are.
Yes.
All those beers have a time and place. I still will have a Miller Lite every once in a while when I'm at a ball game because I feel like that's the time to do it. But in terms of educating the guests here, we have a great opportunity to do a very diverse spectrum of individuals. And for me, it's kind of up my alley. It's kind of an obsession for me, the education aspect of beer, because I feel there's still a lot that needs to be done. Beer is very popular right now, but the education is still kind of lagging on what it actually is.
It's wide but shallow almost.
Sure, yeah. There's a lot of people that are hoarding beer and think that they know a lot about beer because they have really cool beer, and they do, and a lot of them do. But when you get the individuals, again, that come in that really don't know a lot, those are the fun ones. Those are the ones that you can really open their minds and open their eyes to what beer can be. And again, exposing them to local, being able to provide your money or give your money to somebody that might live down the street or lives in the next town is such a cool concept, and it applies not just to food but to beer now too.
And, speaking of that, Ryan, I know that you guys have seen it, Dave, over almost 20 years, the availability of local. I mean, we just had blown up even since we've doubled or more since 2010 in Georgia. So, it's not like you have to go somewhere else to get a good beer now.
Not at all.
If you're looking for a certain style, maybe even 6 years ago, you may not find that from a Georgia brewer, but now almost any style you could want, you're going to find it. There's a Georgia company that brews it for you.
100%.
The guy right down the street. So,
100%. We just maybe a month or two ago, Dave and I were looking at the our package cooler that we have downstairs, and we're wondering why so many beers sit for so long. And a lot of those breweries are so far away, and their beers are becoming, I don't want to say they're irrelevant because that's harsh, but they're just not as popular anymore. People would rather have a local pale ale than a pale ale that's made in California.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that beer. The beer's great. But they want something that's a little more local. And so I just asked some of our distributors to bring some samples and to find out that just in our state, we can have pretty much any style of beer we want that's made year-round, that's provided in a package, and it's fantastic. And it's great to be able to know the person that the money is going to. It's a face and a name. It's not some mythical person, person that is behind a curtain.
And we talk about small breweries like again Creature Comforts. We know those guys just down the street in Athens, and they're so popular. Good luck trying to find Tropicalia or Cocoa Bunny in cans in the store.
They had a beer release, a Paradiso. That they've released. The Athena Paradiso.
It's fantastic,
and it's so limited. There are shops that are limited to one can per person.
Yes.
I mean, and that's a whole nother level talking about kind of where Georgia beers come.
Sure.
We've went from not having many options to having some good options to the point to where you talk about that Uber beer geek, the guy that chases and trades and does all that. We have a brewery, one brewery that's really high on that, and a couple that others are looking for that it really does. We see people looking at these beers outside of Georgia now. People looking for Georgia beer from outside of Georgia. So.
For sure. Well, and again, we were just talking about it earlier. There are so many good beers in our state right now that aren't on this Uber beer nerd radar.
Yeah.
Obviously, Creature Comforts has a lot of those beers, and they are worth the hype. They're great beers. Tropicalia is fantastic beer. But there's other beers that aren't as well known either nationally or around that are just as fantastic. That if you don't tell people what they're drinking and you put a blindfold on them, they're not going to know. They're amazing beers. So there's a lot out there.
Ryan, we got to take a quick break here. Let's talk about some of those other brewers people need to know back when we get back. So you're listening to Beer Guys Radio Show, and we will be right back.
Sounds great.
Hi, this is Jason Pellet, brewmaster at Orpheus Brewing. You're listening to Beer Guys Radio, Georgia Radio for Georgia beer.
Hey, it's Aaron from the Beer Guys Radio Show. Do you like craft beer? Of course you do. Make sure to mark your calendars, buy your tickets, and prepare to spend April 2nd at Kennesaw's historic Depot Park. No fooling here. It's time for the 2016 Depot Park Beer Fest, sponsored by the Kennesaw Downtown Development Authority and the Atlanta Shriners. Starting at 1 p.m. on April 2nd, you'll get to sample hundreds of rare beers from across Georgia and the country. Help celebrate Kennesaw's own Burnt Hickory Brewery's 4th birthday with more than 40 of their unique beers on tap, some that will only be available at the Depot Park Beer Fest. Plus rock music, great food, and we'll be broadcasting live from 1 to 2 p.m. It's a celebration of all things craft beer. The Depot Park Beer Fest, Saturday, April 2nd at Depot Park in Kennesaw. Get your tickets at Zorbia.com today. That's XORBIA.com, XORBIA.com, XORBIA.com. You won't want to miss this.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show on AM 920. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I'm Tim Dennis.
And I'm Aaron Williams, and we are here with a special Beer Guys Radio Show with the Brickstore Pub, Dave Blanchard, the co-founder, and Ryan Skinner, the beer manager. We were just talking to Ryan about some of the beers he's got here, and of course some of the great local brews that have been coming up over the past few years. Some of the more, well, I guess for lack of a better term, maybe overlooked local Georgia beers that we have here. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the maybe overlooked beers that people kind of miss sometimes?
Wow, where to start?
Yeah.
I guess is where it would be. I moved to Georgia 4 years ago and knew of Sweetwater, and I had had Wild Heavens Ode to Mercy, and that was it. And that was because it was shipped to me from my uncle that lives here.
You probably had some Terrapin at that point, right?
I had never tried Terrapin ever in my entire long life. I did, yeah. I started in Phoenix is where I started with the beer nerd thing, okay. And in St. Louis, which is a great state beer law wise.
Yeah.
And then moved here.
Right?
Yeah, surprise. And then moved here. There's a ton of great beers. There's a ton of good breweries. There are ones that are gaining traction. Everyone knows Creature Comforts. We talked about that. Dave has a 3 taverns, Not on Ponce, in front of him, and I think you do as well.
I do
correct?
as well.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I've got a Jailhouse Misdemeanor in front of me. I like pretty approachable, easy beers right now is what I'm drinking. So anyway, it's American Amber Ale.
I'm a combo breaker.
You're not even close. Yeah.
I know, Tim's double fisting over here. Exactly.
Beers, so.
Someone's got to get him an Uber.
Mine's good though.
Tim has a Gouden Carolus Vanda Kaiser and also a Chimay Grand Reserve. So you are at the complete opposite end of the spectrum there, brother.
That Vanda Kaiser is unbelievable.
It's good.
Dave, thanks for the recommendation.
You're welcome.
I haven't had this phenomenal beer.
It's crazy good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figured you'd like that one.
Local beers that a lot of people don't know about. Again, let's talk about the 3 Taverns Night on Ponce. We were actually talking just during the break there about doing blind tests, and we do taste tests a lot around here where we don't know what we're getting. I do it outside of work. I do it here. 3 Taverns Night on Ponce, and so many blind tests is outperforming big, huge national beers that everybody knows about, i.e. Pliny and things of that nature. I think it's Sculpin, Too Hard, all those beers, right? Yeah. We did a month-long IPA blind tasting, and Night on Ponce smoked all of them. It was pretty cool to see something that's local, that isn't nationally known, and doesn't have that big cred, that is just murder and everything.
And Night on Ponce was kind of a what-if experiment beer that they took.
You start Belgian, and then you make it an American IPA, and it's just stellar. And Dave actually just handed it to me. He was like, when was the have you tasted this beer? Yeah. Of course we have. But it was like, just try it again because it is that good. And every time you try it, you're like, wow, it is that good. Yeah. And for it to be made a mile down the road from individuals that we know personally is what makes it so cool.
Joran, the Belgian brewer that Brian hired, Brian, one of my oldest best friends, hired Joran after meeting Peter Buchart on a random trip to Atlanta. Mentioned to Peter that he was looking for a Belgian brewer, and he said, well, how about my nephew? And so that process began, and next thing you know, Brian's brewer, Joran, moved here from Belgium and became his brewer. And, they really do want to be a kind of a Belgian-inspired brewery.
Sure.
And Joran is a very meticulous brewer and is very serious about what he does. And after being in the States now for probably 2 years now, has really developed this thing for this American beer culture. And Brian was a little nervous to brewing an IPA with Joran, and Joran was like, my God, yeah, let's make the best one. Let's make the best one.
And they're mixing up both sides of that over there because they're getting. I mean, Night on Ponce is amazing American IPA, but they did. I know some people heard the story. I'm sure you know, Dave, of capturing the wild yeast during Snowpocalypse.
Oh, right.
Inceptus.
Inceptus.
So. Such a cool story.
That's still the best beer that I think.
Such a cool story.
That's going to be a hard beer to beat coming out of Georgia.
We had it on draft. We've had it out of the bottle. It's unfortunate because there's only a certain amount that they can make. We popped a bottle 3-4 months ago when we had the fellas in here, and it was like your knees get weak a little bit. You're like, wow, you are as close as you're going to get to authentic Belgian lambic beer. And so it's really cool. And again, they're a mile down the road.
And
How neat is that?
Three Taverns is cool in a way because they're almost sort of a nice entry into the Belgian style of beers, the single intense and those types
Absolutely.
of things.
Sure.
Very approachable, but they have that Belgian style that kind of puts you in the entry level category. You should get into some of the big Belgians like what Tim is double fisting right now.
Right.
So I won't,
I got it. I got
say
this
anything
under
about you
control,
double
Aaron.
fisting, but that's
I
good.
have it.
I know you do, which is why I'm back here on the controls and you've got the mic and we're good.
That's right.
So,
And
that's right.
we are pimping Three Taverns right now only because they sort of are Decatur's brewery at the moment. I mean, there's another little brewery called Blue Tarp, which is actually set up right next to Three Taverns. Really nice people. One of the most organic breweries you could go to. It's just kind of a guy doing his thing, and he's had some good success there too, and we're really hoping they come along as well. Just Three Taverns, they came out with all the bells and whistles. Wild Heaven right up the street in Avondale.
Yep.
Twain's right down the other street the other way.
Yeah,
I mean, there's 4 breweries within a mile and a half and on one street. It's really cool.
We were talking about those intro beers. I went to Twain's recently and had their mild, just English mild, and such a good beer. That's a lot of people
Fantastic style of
forget.
beer.
The super hoppy IPAs and the super sour beers and all this they're popular, they're trendy or whatever. But
you couldn't be sitting across from 2 guys that all they really want to drink right now is exactly what you're talking about.
Dave and I went with Todd, our general manager, this past summer to Sierra Nevada to visit the Mecca. And Dave and I sat there. I don't remember what Todd was drinking, but Dave and I sat there with a mild, and we immediately look at each other and like, oh my God, we have to figure out a way to get this to pub. Right. And we're still strong-arming the rep, Mr. Dean, Lance Dean, to get it here for us. But that was, I think, out of the whole trip, when we went to Wicked Weed, we went to Burial, unbelievable breweries. I mean, the best of the best that's being made in this region. That mild at Sierra Nevada was probably one of the best beers I've ever had. So, yeah, you're sitting with 2 guys that like regular beer.
Well, it's funny, we're sitting here with the Brickstore Pub folks, Dave Blanchard, of course, the co-founder of Brickstore, and Ryan Skinner, the beer manager. And it is interesting to see, and it's something that I've kind of noticed in the beer culture over the past, a few months that I've kind of been more involved with it, is that everyone seems to be chasing the quote-unquote whales. But there's something to be said about the average, everyday, good drinking beer. Again, the Night on Ponce IPA or the everyday beers that you can have, and they're fantastic. They're locally sourced, locally made. Tell us a little bit about that.
Do you want to take that, Dave?
Negative.
You think that's up my alley?
Negative.
That's you.
That's Ryan.
I drink boring beer, as a lot of people will tell me.
That's right.
I've, I guess for as long as I've been drinking beer, which isn't real.
Before you go any further, let me just talk about Ryan's accolades here real quick. He is a Cicerone level 1. He took his level 2 test.
Look out!
Right, you're waiting
level
to get
3
the
test.
you took your level. I'm sorry, level 2.
Yeah.
Took his level 3. He's waiting for the results. He's a certified beer judge. Has absolutely one of the best palates going. He loves whales. He loves sours. He loves huge barrel-aged beers. Don't get him wrong. Whatever he's getting ready to say, let him. I just want.
I don't want to
the
offend anybody with this question.
He's trying to act. I just like the normal. No,
right. I mean, he knows
he'll jump
it all,
on the wells with everybody else, right?
But I think what I'm hoping he's going to say, and I will say, is it's the subtleties and the really well made drinkable beers that once you have all those whales over and over in the business that we deal with day in and day out, it's finding those really well-made, easy-drinking 5% beers that just knock your socks off. And I think that's kind of what we've been talking about. That's almost been what we've been talking about, other than you, Tim, and these things you've been drinking.
I know. What's this one? Look at these dark, rich Belgians I've got here.
Which are fantastic, by the way.
They are,
for sure.
So anyway, not to interrupt, I just didn't want you to sell yourself short on your beer knowledge or your palate.
Well, thank you. Unnecessary, but I appreciate it. I think for me the beauty of beer is in its simplicity. You don't need to cram everything in a barrel, although it's amazing. You don't need to. Beers that are light and simple you have nowhere to hide. So making a Helles lager or a Czech Pils or a German Pils is exponentially more difficult than making a 14% bourbon barrel-aged stout. It just is, because in a bourbon barrel-aged stout, you have nowhere to hide. You can't, or in a bourbon barrel-aged stout, you can hide so many different flaws you have in your beer, your process, or your ingredients. In a Helles Lager or Czech Pils, there's nowhere to hide. And those beers, again, the beauty is the simplicity of the beer. And those are the beers that you can, when I get off of work, when I go home, those are the beers that are in my drinking beer fridge. I have two different beer fridges. I have my drinking beer fridge and my like cellar fridge, which I actually kind of came about from working here, the 55-degree fridge, which kind of cellar some of those beers at. But yeah, for me, it's the everyday beers. That's why I have an American Amber Ale in front of me. That's why I handed you local Pilsners, because and to boot, I really feel that the American palate is going to come back to that. I feel strongly about it. It's just ebb and flow of what individuals want. They're going to come back to one again.
You know, that's people,
and we've been there.
It's great. You know,
and
it's
we've
fun
been
to
there.
do that. So
we've definitely been there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're almost out of time for this segment, so we're going to take a quick break right now. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We'll be back right after this.
Miss a show? No problem. Get the Beer Guys Radio Show on demand on the AM 920 The Answer mobile app, on iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Tim and Aaron from the Beer Guys, and here's the deal. You've got that one friend, you know, that one you can never shop for. He's got all that cool stuff. Yeah, that guy.
Well, we found something that they don't have, but they're going to want. The Atlanta Brew Box is a Georgia craft beer experience to go. Each box contains tour passes, a t-shirt, and a bunch of other swag from our local breweries. It's fully customizable, and starting at only $40, it's a great gift idea.
It's unique, it's fun, and it is Atlanta. Head to beerguysradio.com, click the link on the right-hand side of our webpage, and that will get you there. It's the Atlanta Brew Box, the Georgia craft experience in a box.
It's Aaron and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock is always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy. They have 12 of them. Bottles, too. Not sure what to drink? All of their beer servers are Cicerone certified. And if you got someone who isn't a beer fan, not to worry. Truck and Tap carries wine, mixed drinks, and even handcrafted sodas.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily. That way, you're getting a different menu every day.
Check it out. Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Georgia Radio for Georgia beer. Now, back to the Beer Guys.
And welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I'm Aaron.
I am Tim, and we are here talking to the guys from Brickstore Pub. We're talking to Ryan Skinner and Dave Blanchard, talking beer, talking Decatur, talking Georgia beer. All good stuff.
Absolutely.
So, guys, we talked a lot about kind of where we are and where we've come. So where are things going for Brickstore Pub?
Well, it's probably pretty good timing. We're this June we're going to be turning 19, and everybody, and as great it is that we're getting ready to turn 19. For whatever reason, no one really seems to care about 19. They're asking, so what are you guys going to be doing for your 20th anniversary?
I got to get there first. That's right.
And we got to thinking a couple months ago, and so we have this really cool idea that we're going to be doing. I'm loosely calling it 20 for 20, kind of a take on the whole ESPN 30 for 30 thing, but the idea is to we have identified 20 breweries that we are going to go and brew a collaborative beer with.
Wow.
And for our 20 years. And in addition to doing that, and it's a lot of local breweries, it's a lot of southeastern breweries, some northeast breweries, and some Belgian breweries. And so the idea, go brew a beer, and we are actually talking to a production company about actually coming along, filming the whole thing, documenting it, and making almost like a TV special out of it. It's actually well, I want to say who it is because we haven't confirmed anything, but it's a local production company that does shows locally on TV. Really hoping it works out. I think it's a really cool story, and I think for what we've done over the past bunch of years, I really want to do something kind of epic for this 20th anniversary. And just over the years we've developed so many good relationships, it just sort of makes sense that we would do something almost this epic. So I really, really hope it works out, and we're going to be finding out here in the next couple of weeks if that's all a go. in addition to that, so that's something for everyone to get excited about. I'm certainly excited
We're
about
have a busy year. 20 beers,
so
20 collaborations.
For sure.
So, yeah.
I know. There might be some selfish reasons for doing that too, right? Having to travel to all these breweries to brew beers.
It's exhausting.
But we have been doing some really cool things, and I will say part of, we kind of have prided ourselves on being the beer place in not only Atlanta or Georgia or the Southeast or even the nation, just from almost like we just approach beer from a place that's like, how can we do it as good as we can do it? And this past weekend we did it. And Brian, maybe you want to talk about the Cellar Fest thing that we did last weekend and what we're doing now with the Cellar Flights. Yeah. And we never really stop pushing what we're doing here.
Tim posted a bunch of pictures on Instagram, and I just got jealous because of the Cellar Fest there. And I was at my kids' lacrosse game, and I couldn't go. So
lacrosse.
I know. What are you going to do? So I'm interested in learning more about Cellar Fest and how you guys came about with that.
Sure.
We sitting around discussing how we can expose people to the cellar. We have a ton of really amazing beer that's aged beautifully, and we want to expose it to people, not because you want to make a boatload of money, but because you want people to enjoy it with us. It takes time and effort and the money to make these beers what they are, and we wanted to expose people to it. So we were trying to figure out ways to do that outside of just having a cellar menu that people get when they come in the pub. So we talked about having a festival that was only aged beer and how feasible it would be, and whether we thought we could actually pull it off and we could do it. We decided to go for it, which is pretty cool. Dave kind of lets me go bonkers sometimes, and we decided we could do it. So I think we landed somewhere around 1,000 beers.
Wow.
Total beers. Different beers. I mean, I don't even know because it was kind of a grab bag. But
it was great. It was a great.
It was amazing.
People because not a lot of people get a chance to try those, or they may look on the cellar.
Sure.
I mean, some of the cellar choices can be a little spendy. You have the time to hold them and store them and keep them fresh. But at the festival, I don't know exactly what the oldest was, but I remember seeing back to 2004 on some beers, and these old cellar beers. See how, and it's educational too. And Ryan, you kind of speak to that with these
for sure.
cellar beers.
The cool part about the Cellar Fest too, for me, was doing all the work up front. Myself and then two of the other previous beer managers had a chance to just walk around and talk to people, talk about the beer, the process of aging the beer. So that's something I think we're going to continue to do going forward to educate people on cellar beer and expose people to the process. We've just within the past week, Dave had an idea to do some cellar flights where we actually offer flights of beer, which is something we don't normally do, but it gives individuals a chance to pay one lump sum, $20. They get to taste 4 different beers. The ones we chose first were all 2007 Belgian beers. There's sours, there's dark strongs, which is pretty cool. It gives an individual the opportunity to not just pick one for $20, but to try 4. And so far, it's like gangbusters. Dave and I were just talking before we started about how we're going to do this operation and make it work, because we're selling a lot of them, which is a good problem to have.
You mentioned the cellar menu. That's something that a little secret tip there for some folks that may not know that. When you come in, you're going to get the beer menu and the food menu, but if you want to see the cellar menu, you have to ask for that. So
the beer Bible.
The beer Bible. All the good stuff.
And it's really interesting trying cellar beers. Aging a beer can make a world of difference. The difference between just 1 or 2 years of aging. If you try the same beer, say from 2007 to 2008, huge difference. It's really amazing. For someone who really hasn't been exposed to that, it's certainly something that they should try.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Even at the Cellar Fest, we had what are called, I guess, in the industry, verticals. We had different verticals of different beers. We had some vintage ale. We had Yetis. We had an 8, 9, and 10 Yeti. We had an 8, 9, and 10 old stock. So those are always cool when you line them up next to each other to taste the nuanced differences between what aging can do is amazing. It's what can open your mind to what beer can be.
Now, guys, we talked a lot about beer here, as we do. We enjoy drinking, talking about it, and that.
That is our job, I guess.
Aaron mentioned earlier I was double fisting. Well, I've moved on to the second fist right now. This is awesome. I don't know what it is.
Chimay Grand Reserve on draft is one of you have. I think what 10 years ago would have been referred to as a whale. Maybe not so much now because we chase the American dream.
right.
But that beer is crazy. It's amazing. Phenomenal. It's a trendsetter. It's like where the bar is set.
It's new to draft.
It's new to draft, yeah. And when it became new to draft, I bought as many cakes. Well, Dave bought. I ordered as many cakes as we could get.
That's the way to do it.
Dave bought. I ordered as many kegs as we could get. So we're cellaring some that we're going to try to use for. Speaking about future things for the pub as well, we're going to try to eventually do like a Trappist takeover up here, where we pour 8 different Trappist beers, which is definitely a goal that Dave kind of set forth. That I'm gonna make it happen. I'm bound and determined for it. But that beer, anyway, right now that you're tasting is it's a trendsetter. It's great. It's what it should be.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, outside of beer, you guys have a pretty good food menu here, too. Some good stuff on there. One of my personal favorites is the raclette. I get that every time I come here.
I get the fish and chips every time. That's what I do.
It's good stuff, but...
Yeah, that's tried and true right there. It's funny, we're 20 years in, and as much as we are known for our beer, we are still 51% food, which is pretty amazing if you can believe that. We never had any intention of selling as much food as we do, and the indication is when you walk downstairs and poke your head in the kitchen and see how big it is, because it is tiny.
It's a closet.
And always running back there. Every time I go back that way, they're always
cranking.
jumping.
And my nephew Wes and Ryan Tittle have been running that kitchen now for a whole bunch of years, and man, they just keep doing better and better, and the food is just as good. It really is something that I don't think we get nearly enough credit for, just because our beer, what we do beer-wise, just sort of steals the show. And it's a shame, because they not only do they do a great job, they make really, really good food.
They do. That's everything I've had here I've enjoyed.
And it really is. The food matches the beer every single day.
So is that something you kind of leave to them, to your chef and the crew there? Or?
Yeah. I mean, they've been with us for a long time. Ryan is kind of our head chef. He's been here for, I think, 12 years now. And Wes has been with us. I'm terrible with years and time now, but both of them together, they're the dream team, and they work it with. They just kill it. They kill it, and their features every day are amazing, and they, consistency and everything we could ever want.
I always try to ask my wife if we want to go to downtown Decatur so she can shop, but I always make sure that we need to stop at the Brickstore. That's my reward for having
right.
You try and play it like you're being nice.
Yeah.
You want to go shopping?
Exactly. Sure, go shopping. Just do your thing in Decatur. You like the big city thing.
Oh, the Brickstore's there? Okay, I'll stop in. So.
How did that happen? Exactly. That's right. Well, guys, we're just about ready to wrap up another show. Thank you so much for joining us today. A special edition of the Beer Guys Radio Show. It was awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
Great work. Pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. And again, we've got lots of stuff on Facebook, Twitter, at Beer Guys Radio, beerguysradio.com, of course. Call us on the AL line at 678-861-8AL. And
subscribe to our newsletter.
That's
This
right.
Week in Georgia Beer.
You do a great job with that.
Since we had a special show this week, Aaron, we didn't do our beer release and that. Check out our website, because that info will be there for you.
Yeah, every week we do it. This Week in Georgia Beer. It's awesome. So great. Another great show in the books, Tim.
Absolutely.
That's right. We'll see you next week. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show, and we will talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Miss a show? All shows are on demand on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow Tim and Aaron on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Beer Guys Radio. Call the AL line at 678-861-8AL. More Beer Guys coming up next week. Same time, same place, same tap. Till then, here's to you.
Hey, it's Aaron from the Beer Guys Radio Show. Do you like craft beer? Of course you do. Make sure to mark your calendars, buy your tickets, and prepare to spend April 2nd at Kennesaw's historic Depot Park. No fooling here. It's time for the 2016 Depot Park Beer Fest, sponsored by the Kennesaw Downtown Development Authority and the Atlanta Shriners. Starting at 1 p.m. on April 2nd, you'll get to sample hundreds of rare beers from across Georgia and the country. Help celebrate Kennesaw's own Burnt Hickory Brewery's 4th birthday with more than 40 of their unique beers on tap, some that will only be available at the Depot Park Beer Fest. Plus, rock music, great food, and we'll be broadcasting live from 1 to 2 p.m. It's a celebration of all things craft beer. The Depot Park Beer Fest, Saturday, April 2nd at Depot Park in Kennesaw. Get your tickets at Zorbia.com today. That's XORBIA.com, XORBIA.com, XORBIA.com. You won't want to miss this.